Before we begin, we just want to let you know we are recording this meeting, and we wanted to go over some Zoom just housekeeping tips to make the workshop go smoothly. So if you would like to hear our presentation in Spanish, please click the globe symbol at the bottom of your screen. El soporte de idiomas está disponible. Si desea escuchar esta presentación en español, haga clic en el símbolo del globo en la parte inferior de su pantalla. And just to let you all know, all attendees are muted, but you may use the chat to ask questions or make comments during the presentation. After our quick presentation, we will answer any questions received in the chat. At this time, you may also use the reactions button to raise your hand and for additional questions or comments. And so we are glad that you are here with us today to learn more about how you can make your community a better place to walk for fun, for health, and for safely getting wherever you need to go. Public Health is the county department leading the pedestrian plan process alongside the county's Public Works Department, as well as our county outreach partners who are here today. They have done an excellent job connecting with people to learn about walking conditions and ideas about how we can improve road safety and walkability. Next slide. Oh, thank you. So if you live or work in unincorporated East Los Angeles, East Rancho Dominguez, Florence Firestone, or Willowbrook, West Rancho Dominguez, we're here to talk about walking in these communities specifically and share with you what's included in the draft pedestrian community plan for each one of these communities. If you know any other challenges to walking elsewhere in an unincorporated community or have any other concerns where you think the county can help, feel free to share those with us today as well. So to help us get to know you a little bit more, please let us know what community you're a resident of in the chat. So let us know which community you're representing today. You can just drop it in the chat if you'd like to share. So we got East LA, Karina Macias. Nice to see you again. Okay. Shall we move on to the next slide? So what will we cover today? So just a little bit. Okay. So just a little bit background about the step-by-step LA County pedestrian plans for unincorporated communities. The step-by-step project was adopted by the LA County Board of Supervisors in 2019. And that project created a countywide set of goals and policies for encouraging and enhancing walking for transportation and health in our unincorporated areas. It also included the first 4 community pedestrian plans with specific safety projects and programs proposed in each plan. So pedestrian environment and existing pedestrian facilities document how your streets look today and how well they serve you or not. For example, are there sidewalks? Are there marked crosswalks? Are there curb ramps? Proposed pedestrian facilities is the meat of the plan. It helps identify projects to enhance safety for people walking there, here and there. They also include maps, which we'll review in the breakout rooms tonight, that show all of the proposed recommendations that we are making. And finally, the proposed action and program section identifies some countywide efforts to make the most sense for each community. like safe routes to schools and guidelines for better bus stops. Caitlin?
Okay, thanks. And sorry, my camera is off. It started making my computer freeze, but hello everyone, thanks for joining. So now I'm going to give you an overview of the pedestrian plan. Sorry, I'm being asked to pause.
I feel like maybe you can go over once again how to hit the translation to get into that channel.
Oh, yes. Just a reminder for everyone, if you would like to hear our presentation in Spanish, please click on the globe symbol at the bottom of your screen. Si quiere escuchar la presentación en español, por favor, háganle clic en el símbolo del globo en la parte inferior de su pantalla y dice interpretación. Si no pueden escuchar y ocupan ayuda, por favor también pueden levantar la mano y le podemos asistir para que puedan escuchar en su lenguaje.
Okay.
Okay.
Feel free to let us know in the chat if it becomes an issue or you have trouble getting into the other channel for Spanish. All right. So pedestrian plans are official county documents that will guide how the county addresses pedestrian safety in your community for years to come. The draft community pedestrians that we're discussing tonight for an additional 4 community pedestrian plans in step-by-step LA County. So the original project had 4 communities. That's what Alfredo mentioned was adopted. This plan that we're talking about tonight is 4 new communities, which we've already listed. These 4 plans will better prepare the county for going after different state or federal grant funding to build the projects that are identified in each of the plans. Work on the plans started in 2021 with getting to know your community through looking at where and to whom traffic collisions happen. Having conversations with you and your neighbors at community events, meetings, and workshops like this, and looking at information like health outcomes that help us better understand the existing conditions in your community. Community leaders were involved in collecting surveys, walking local streets, and collecting new data, and helping to count the number of people walking and biking. We used all of this information, including specific concerns that we heard in your community, to write the first draft of the plan. We released the draft community pedestrian plans on October 24th, 2022, and the public comment period that we're in now runs until February 17th, so just another couple weeks. After that, our project team will finalize the plans for adoption by the Los Angeles County Regional Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors. These meetings will likely occur this summer and fall. Each community pedestrian plan includes the following sections. First, a community profile, which is a section that talks about who lives in the community, how healthy they are, environmental and climate changes that they may face, and information on past planning efforts made by the county. There's a section on community involvement, which documents the outreach that's been done to develop the draft plan. The pedestrian environment and existing pedestrian facilities section documents how your streets look today and how well they serve you or not. For example, are there sidewalks? Are there marked crosswalks? Are there curb ramps? And other issues. Next is a proposed pedestrian facilities section, which is, as Alfredo mentioned, the meat of the plan. This is where we identify projects to enhance safety for people walking in the community. There will be project lists in tables as well as maps that we'll look at later in the breakout rooms tonight. Finally, the proposed actions and programs section identifies some countywide efforts that make the most sense for each community, such as safe routes to school programs and guidelines for improved bus stops. So now we're going to talk more about the draft plan lists of projects and how we got to this point. To make sure that each plan meets your community's needs, we started by attending community events, met with groups like neighborhood associations, school staff, and parents, and we also went door to door to meet small business owners. We also had a first round of workshops just like this one to start understanding exactly where the challenges are in each community. We reviewed numerous other data inputs, including existing conditions data that we collected, different areas around schools, parks, and other destinations, maps of which streets see the most traffic collisions in the county, and extensive community engagement led by our partners at Los Angeles Walks, Los Angeles Neighborhood Initiative, and Public Matters. This included convening a community advisory committee for each community, in-person and virtual events and meetings, community surveys, and an online public input map, which you can see in this image on the left. You all know your community and your streets the best, so your input is super important for us getting these plans right before adoption. So again, we appreciate you being here tonight. Here's a couple photos that show some of the events that we did during our workshops in the fall, or the first round of outreach. As I mentioned, we also looked at traffic collisions that involved people walking to help focus our efforts on places where people have been hit while walking in the past and see if we can help prevent that happening in the future. The red lines that you see on the map are what we call collision concentration corridors, which are the streets in Los Angeles County with the most collisions that someone was killed or severely injured on. That's another way that we focus our pedestrian projects and improve conditions for everyone through the county's Vision Zero initiative to reduce serious injuries and deaths from collisions to zero or none. Now I'm going to provide a brief overview of some of the types of improvements proposed in each community. So this is just a high level, basically defining what different things are so that we can all be on the same page. First, we considered locations where the county can make improvements to the sidewalk area, such as adding new sidewalks where they may not exist today, widening them if space allows, installing pedestrian lighting to help make sidewalks more visible, and street trees for providing shade. Crossing enhancements proposed in each community include updated, highly visible crosswalks. So you can see in the photo on the left, the big white bars, curb extensions, flashing beacons, and other recommendations. We recommended enhanced crosswalk markings throughout every community. We also proposed what we call advanced yield markings, sometimes called shark teeth, which are the triangles in the middle photo here, where the car is approaching the crosswalk. We recommend these at uncontrolled crossings where there's no signal or stop sign currently. In a few locations, we also proposed pedestrian refuge islands to give people walking a resting place on wide streets with existing median space. So you can see that on the right here. There's an existing median and people can pause here. This allows pedestrians crossing the street to focus only on one direction of traffic at a time, or pause if they feel there's not enough time to cross the whole length at once. ADA compliant curb ramps provide accessibility for pedestrians of different ages and abilities. We've recommended any outdated curb ramps throughout each community be updated to the current standards. In each community, we've also identified numerous locations where curb extensions may be appropriate. Curb extensions shorten the crossing distance and time that people need to cross the street. They also help slow vehicle speeds by physically and visually narrowing the roadway. You can see an example of that on the left. Bus bulbs are similar to curb extensions, but they're larger and they include a bus stop. They allow for more efficiency because buses can stop for passengers without pulling over or leaving the travel lane. We've recommended these along select transit corridors in each community. So places where there's a lot of transit activity already happening and a lot of bus ridership. Next, there are different types of signal and beacon improvements that can make crossing the street safer and more comfortable. First, rectangular rapid flashing beacons, shown on the left, are flashing lights on signs located on the sidewalk on either side of a crosswalk that doesn't have a full traffic signal or a stop sign. They help alert drivers that a pedestrian is about to enter the crosswalk. So they're activated when a pedestrian pushes a button and then the lights flash to tell drivers, I'm going to cross the street. At other crossings without a traffic signal or a stop sign, where it might be a wider street that's more congested, we recommended what the county calls a pedestrian activated warning system, which are also flashing beacons that are overhead, which you can see on the right. This, again, alerts drivers that pedestrians are going to be crossing the street. And just like the rectangular rapid flashing beacon, you press a button and the lights flash. At intersections that do have traffic signals and have high pedestrian foot traffic, such as near commercial centers and near schools and parks, we've recommended that those existing traffic signals be modified to include something called a leading pedestrian interval. This gives pedestrians a head start when they're crossing the street. Oops, sorry about that. I don't know what I pressed. This gives pedestrians a head start when they're going to cross the street before cars that are going in the same direction get a green light. So this helps make pedestrians more visible. They're already in the crosswalk before cars are moving. It also reinforces that they have the right of way over cars that might be turning right or left once they have the green light. Traffic calming recommendations include locations where a roundabout, a traffic circle, or a four-way stop might be appropriate. These treatments help slow and calm traffic and can also deter drivers from doing donuts, which we've heard is a problem in each community that we're developing a plan for. We also identified corridors that we suggest be studied further in a separate analysis by the Department of Public Works to help calm traffic and make space for additional pedestrian and bicycle improvements. You'll see in the plan, we call those a study for roadway reconfiguration. There's not details listed out in that project list yet for these locations because they'll each need their own study to figure out what the best treatment is for the whole corridor. So streets where we know something is needed, but it might be bigger than just the crosswalks and other improvements we're recommending. Now I'm going to turn it over to Aubrey with the county to share some information about the relationships between our streets and neighborhoods and our mental health. Another reason that we're here tonight doing this work. So Aubrey, take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aubrey Stark-Miller. I'm an intern with the Department of Public Health. So yeah, there's a lot of effort we're putting into our environment. So what does the green space and our health have to do with the space around us? Next slide, please. Or can I? So being in green space has been shown to help make physical activity feel easier. Taking a walk in nature can be more soothing and restorative than if walking in a denser city environment. But the benefits of being in nature do not have to be active. They could also be passive, such as with meditation or sitting and reading. Physical activity and green space work together to provide complementary benefits to our health. And these are some examples of just some things that you can do in the environment. Next slide. Nature can be beneficial both due to what it removes, such as city distractions, and what it adds, such as benefits from the plants that you may not be aware of when walking through nature. Scents, different smells, and particles from plants can interact with your immune system and your endocrine system. So by being in nature, you can have cooler temps in warm months, decreased air pollution, and less noise. Next slide, please. Visual colors and light are restorative to your mind and body. Plants can reduce inflammation throughout the body. There's also better air quality and cooler temperatures due to the plant's interaction with the atmosphere. Next slide, please. It can feel time-consuming to plan extra outings for nature, especially with busy schedules and life events, but just 30 minutes can be good for your health. It does not have to be in the forest in order to get these benefits. It could happen by walking down a tree-lined street or by spending a short amount of time in a pocket park or on a trail. Next slide, please. So nature can impact several different aspects of health. Better air quality impacts things like asthma and other respiratory illnesses. It lowers your stress. It impacts your cardiovascular disease and levels of cortisol, which relates to your stress. And research has shown that being in or viewing nature can help reduce the time needed to heal from injuries. Next slide, please. Also, additionally, mental health is intertwined with your physical health. So decreasing physical stressors can impact mental health. Research has shown that time in nature can have a significant impact on anxiety and depression and reduce the strain related to city experiences, which can improve your attention, your cognitive function, and happiness. Next slide, please. Any questions? We'll take questions before we break out to look more closely at the draft map.
So if anyone has any questions about anything we've presented thus far, including Aubrey's presentation just now, we have some time to answer those questions. So feel free to unmute yourself or type it out in the chat. Okay. If there are no questions, we can move into the breakout room activity. So I'm going to just give you a quick overview of what that entails. So in just a moment, we're going to break up into groups for each community. West Willowbrook and West Rancho Dominguez community members are going to stay in this main room. So you don't need to go to one of the breakout rooms, whether you speak English or Spanish. But East Los Angeles, Florence Firestone, and East Rancho Dominguez each have 2 rooms, one for English and one for Spanish. So choose your preference, and we'll have staff in each one of those. So we have up to 40 minutes on this activity, and then we'll come back to this the main room as a larger group to close out the workshop with some final remarks. During our breakout sessions, we want you to discuss your thoughts on the proposed projects in your community and keep a couple of questions in mind as we're looking things over. 1, did we miss anything that's important from a pedestrian safety or overall walking point of view? And second, is there any way you would change or improve what is already recommended? So in a moment, you're going to get a pop-up window that has different options for the rooms, and you'll be able to click which room you want to join. So feel free to pick whichever one you want. If you have any issues with that, please type in the chat and someone will help you get into the room that you want to join.
For recording. Interpretation.
And everybody has to choose the interpretation channel again.
And then Spanish. And then... All right, here we go for language. You might need to stop your video game, Caitlin, because of latency.
Gosh, I hate that so much.
Alfredo, do you want to close us out?
Yeah, I'll close this out. So, alrighty, thank you everyone for taking that time to break up into our breakout rooms and give your input, feedback, and opinions on the draft pedestrian plans. So as a reminder, we are collecting input until February 17th, and we want to gather as much feedback as we can before then. So based on your feedback, we'll update the draft and have it ready for the county's Regional Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors adoption hearings this summer and throughout the fall. So you can visit www.stepbystep.lacounty.com to read the plan online. And you can also submit your comments on the webpage or email them to us at ladphplace@gmail.com or using the online comment form available at stepbystep.lacounty.com. Next slide. And so here is our contact information. Thank you for attending. Please spread the word about this effort and please share with your friends and neighbors. We really do appreciate it. And finally, thank you for your time tonight. We appreciate you all, your contributions, your feedback and comments on this pedestrian planning project and effort. So thank you all. I hope you have a good rest of your night. Don't forget, we have until February 17th. So send your feedback, comments, input. We'll look forward to hearing about it and implementing it into our final plan. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.